Hello everyone, my name is Fiona Brenda and my matrix number is BB23110493. So I will explain for part 1, which is constructing the graph or chart to compare the relative frequency and cumulative relative frequency between production cost and profit margin. So in order to construct the graph, firstly we need to construct the frequency distribution table, which include the class interval, midpoint, upper boundary, the frequency, the relative frequency, and cumulative relative frequency for both production cost and profit margin. Based on the relative frequency polygon graph at the point 24.5, which fall on the class interval of 20 to 29 million for production cost and 20 to 29% for profit margin, we can observe a higher relative frequency for profit margin, which is 76.67% compared to the production cost 23.33%. So this may suggest that the manufacturer companies within this range are managing their cost effectively enough to maintain or improve their profitability. So for the cumulative relative frequency graph, we can observe that the cumulative pattern for production costs vary widely compared to the profit margin. So the cumulative relative frequency for profit margin reaches 100% very quickly within a narrow range, while the production cost take a slower accumulation. So the rapid increase in cumulative relative frequency for profit margin indicates that most profit margin value are clustered within a lower range, while production costs are more spread out across a wider range. So this also means that profit margin tend to be more predictable and consistent with less variation across the dataset. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Dixon Daniel with matric number BB23110668. So today I'm going to present for the part 2, which is calculate and compare the measures of central location between two key performance indicators. Alright, we are given two key performance indicators, which is production cost in a millions and profit margin in a percentage. So let us focus on the central location, which we calculate and interpret the measure of central locations, which is a mean, median, and mode. First, let us calculate for the mean, which we combine all the listed production costs and profit margin for the listed companies. And now let us see the mean for production cost is higher than profit margin, which is 49.47 for production cost and 24.72 for profit margin. And this is the central location for the mean. And now we move to the median, where we find the middle values and indicate the central point less affected by the outliers. So the median for the production cost is less than profit margin, which is 27.65 for the production cost and 28.1 for the profit margin. So next is production cost and profit margin for mode. After we calculate the mode for the both key performance indicator, we find that production cost is higher mode than profit margin, which means production costs have the most frequently occurring the value which reflect the outcomes. For the production cost, we got 36.2, which is higher than profit margin, which 22.1. So when we compare the performance, we can notice that production cost suggests a right skew distribution, but for the profit margin shows that higher central tendency in the median and mode than the mean. So this analysis provide understanding for the central tendency of production cost and profit margin across various firms.
Hello everyone, my name is Georgiana Gawaiko. My metric number is BB231103X6. Today I would like to present part 3. First, let's look at the percentile value for both indicators. For production cost, the 25 percentile is 26.85, meaning that 25% of companies have production costs below this value. The median for production cost is 46.25, indicating that half of the companies spend less than this amount on production while the other half spend more. The 25 percentile is 65.3, showing that 75% of companies fall down this cost, leaving only the top 25% with higher production costs. Next, for profit margin, the 25 percentile is 22.1, indicating the lower performing 25% of companies in terms of profit margin. The median profit margin is 25.35, meaning which is the middle point where half of companies fall below and half above. The 75 percentile is 27.55, suggesting that the majority of companies maintain profit margin between a close range. The percentile value highlight a significant spread in production costs but a much narrower distribution in profit margin, which suggests consistently in profitability across companies. Now let's analyze the box plot, which provide a visual representation of data variability and outliers. For the box plot of production costs, the IQR, which represents the middle 50% of data, is quite wide. This shows that production costs vary significantly among companies. The minimum cost is 11.8, while the maximum is 97.2, indicating a very large range in operational expenses. The larger spread reflects the diverse nature of companies' operation, possibility due to differences in industry size, resource allocation, or production speed. For the box plot of profit margin, the IQR is much narrower compared to production costs, indicating more consistent profit margin. The minimum margin is 16.3, the maximum margin is 31.2, which show a much smaller range compared to production costs. This reflects that companies, despite very
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nura Betulala binti Siddiq and my matrix number is BB231104552. Today, I'll be presenting a compare measure of dispersion between production costs and profit margin. So, the first one is range. The range for production costs is 85.4 million, showing significant variation due to differences in company size and operation. In contrast, the profit margin range is 14.19%, indicating greater stability, likely because companies face similar market conditions. It means production costs vary widely but profit margins are stable. Next is mean absolute deviation, MAD. The MAD for production costs is 21.65 million, reflecting diverse cost structure caused by factors like labor, material, and efficiency. On the other hand, the MAD for profit margin is just 3.12%, showing tighter control over profit rates. It means production costs are unpredictable but profit margin are well controlled. Next is variance. The variance for production costs is 848.10 million, meaning some companies face significantly higher costs. For profit margin, the variance is only 14.46%, reflecting consistent profit level across companies. It means costs vary drastically, but profit remains steady. Next is standard deviation. The standard deviation for production cost is 25.42 million, indicating wide variation driven by operational scale. For profit margin, it's 3.80%, which show companies maintain similar profit strategy. And lastly is coefficient of variation, CV. The CV for production cost is for 51.38%, meaning production costs vary widely, reflecting significant differences in operation and scale among companies. In contrast, the CV for profit margin is just 15.38%, showing much less variation. This highlighted why production costs differ greatly. Companies are more consistent in managing their profit margin to stay competitive and aligned with market expectation. So, in summary, production costs show significant variation due to differences in scale and efficiency, while profit margins are far more consistent, reflecting tighter market control. So that's all for me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Benedict Anastasia Anachefri, and my matrix number is BB23161112. For my part, I have been assigned to do part 5, which is to calculate and interpret measures of association between the two key performance indicators. For measures of association, I need to calculate the covariance and the correlation between the production cost and profit margin. The calculation has been done using the Excel, and the value that I've got for covariance is negative 86.65, and for the correlation is negative 0.897, which shows that both values for the two key indicators are negative. Covariance measures the direction of the relationship between two variables. Based on the values of the covariance, which is negative 86.65, shows that it was negative, and there is an inverse relationship between the production cost and profit margin, and when production costs increase, profit margin tend to decrease. Next, correlation quantifies the strength and direction of the linear relationship between the two variables. The correlation coefficient shows that the value is strongly negative, which is close to negative 1. This shows a very strong inverse linear relationship between production cost and profit margin. Higher production costs are strongly associated with lower profit margin. Reducing production costs has a high possibility of improving profitability. The analysis implies that companies with better cost management, which is lower production costs, are likely to achieve higher profitability. That's all from me. Thank you.